This lady had a zoo with Tasmanian tigers, Tasmanian devils, birds, African lions, you name it, she had it, right in the middle of Hobart. I've driven past the site over 2,500 times, and I didn't even know it was still there. You don't get much more forgotten than that. G'day and welcome to Forgotten Tasmania. I'm John Stephenson. In the early days of Hobart Town, 30 acres of Battery Point was farmed by the Reverend Knopwood to feed the colony. Governor Sorrell was granted 90 acres. Montpelier Road ran from the waterfront at Sullivan's Cove up the hill, but it didn't go as far as Sandy Bay, which you accessed via Davey and Byron streets. The land bounded by Harrington and Davey streets was a burial ground, which later became St David's Park. In 1824, most of Battery Point was sold to a Mr Commode, and in 1842 St George's Church was opened. The Battery Point land was sold again to a Mr Butler of Butler, McIntyre and Butler, believed to be the oldest law firm in Australia still operating. The remaining land became known as Heston Fields, and by 1858 Battery Point was a really busy suburb. In 1863 Henry Roberts married Mary Lindsay, and they lived in a small house in Sandy Bay called Ashfield. Mary loved to collect birds, and Henry decided to build a bigger house for his growing family and his wife's menagerie. Henry had started an agricultural company that would go on to become one of the biggest and most important companies in Tasmania, Roberts Limited. In 1874, Roberts' company auctioned off most of Battery Point as residential building lots. 8 of these blocks of land didn't sell, so Roberts bought them himself. He built a beautiful house with a massive gardens and called it Beaumaris. It was thought that the house was designed by Henry Hunter, but no evidence of that's been found. Either way, it's a fantastic house. By 1895, Mary Roberts Zoo was well established, and she was encouraged to open it to the public, which she did, charging 3d entry fee. That means it was never a commercial enterprise, but a private passion, no doubt funded by Roberts' company's success, although her husband and family were said to have little interest in the zoo. Mary added many native animals to her zoo, including Tasmanian devils. She was the first to breed devils in captivity. The Tasmanian devil is a unique animal, a carnivorous marsupial related to the quoll, or native cat. It was called the devil by early explorers due to the screeching noise it makes. In fact, it's smelly, tough, and feeds in a frenzy, but it doesn't spin in a whirlwind like the cartoon version. Upon the extinction of the Tasmanian tiger, the devil became the largest carnivorous marsupial on the planet. They are mature at 2 years of age and only live about 5 years. They mostly eat carrion, but they are powerful and can easily take down small animals, even larger wallabies and wombats. Their jaws are extremely powerful. The males fight over breeding females and usually carry the scars of these battles. In 1996, scientists identified a contagious cancer called the facial tumour disease in Tasmanian devils. I would say the devil population has been decimated, but that word means losing 10%, and the devils have lost up to 95% of their numbers, and they're now listed as endangered. They are now bred in captivity and sent to wildlife preserves all around the world in an effort to save the species. Mary Roberts was on the right track 100 years ago, but her most famous animal was the Tasmanian tiger, or Thylacine. She purchased many tigers from trappers and exported them around the world. She sent 7 Tasmanian tigers and 44 Tasmanian devils, along with numerous wallabies and other animals. The Tasmanian tiger is a distant relative to the devil. It was large like a dog, a carnivorous marsupial with distinctive stripes. Much is made of the fact that it could open its jaws very wide. I've heard many people say 180 degrees, but the current science says about 80 degrees. The Tasmanian tiger was blamed by early colonists for attacks on sheep, and a tiger could certainly take a lamb, as it fed on the same sort of things as the devil. According to new research by Dr. Nick Haygarth, the tiger population was in decline before the government bounty was put on its head. The Tasmanian government paid out £1 a head for nearly 2,200 tigers killed over 22 years. Nick's assertion is that was a significant number, but any species where 100 a year causes extinction was already in serious trouble and probably would have gone extinct anyway without intervention. Sadly, intervention never came for the Tasmanian tiger, and they are now officially listed as extinct. Mary's Tasmanian tigers had died before her zoo was given to the Hobart City Council and housed on the domain, following her death in 1921. Another tiger was found and joined the zoo in 1934. It died on September the 7th, 1936, and is honoured by National Threatened Species Day, which now falls on that sad anniversary each year. The council-run zoo on the domain closed a year later in 1937, but the site is still there. It's not open to the public, but it was used by Dark Mofo for an art installation last year. Mary Roberts left a legacy even bigger than her zoo. She was an incredible person. She founded the Anti-Plumage League, an organisation against the use of animal parts in fashion. She was a member of the Royal Society, the Art Society, the Orpheus Club, the SPCA, which became the RSPCA, the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. And she founded the Girl Guides chapter in Tasmania. She truly saw the value in our native animals about 100 years before it became a more common view. She was an amazing Tasmanian. I'd like to thank the current owners of Beaumaris for allowing me into their home, and Jim Playstead from Knight Frank Realty for getting me invited to the photo shoot, and Jonas Haig from Open to View Tasmania for the use of his drone footage and for being just an all-round amazing professional photographer. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, hit the like button, hit me up in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Cheers!